one of our clients in another division got hacked, and they were only a 12-person facility. That ended up costing them $500,000 to pay the ransom, to rebuild their network, to do the forensic audit. Then they don't even know what's going to happen in the future with all of their clients' data being exposed.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Tech Made Human podcast, episode number 5. I'm your host, Marissa Poston. We have Dave Clark here again with us. He is our expert IT guru. You should recognize him by now. And Dave and I, really our goal this episode, that help you stop treating the symptoms and start to demand real permanent fixes before a minor glitch becomes a major business liability. So Dave, hi, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Doing fantastic. How are you, Marissa?
I'm doing great.
Good.
If you're ready, I am ready to jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
So let's just start with the basics. I want to hear your opinion on what would you say, and from what you see and from what you hear, would be the most common small IT issue that you see businesses kind of brush under the rug, although the problem kind of keeps consistently coming back?
Yeah. The most common that is real prevalent now, and you see it in the news all the time, is cybersecurity, right? Security. People having a false sense of security, thinking that they are protected because of, a software program they have or a piece of hardware that they have. Or it's interesting because they look at it and say, oh, well, that's a problem, but that's not really a big problem because they're not coming after a business like us, for instance. And actually, small and medium-sized businesses are the ones that are attacked first because they're the easiest to gain access to. And so I think that's probably the one that most companies don't think is an issue, and it is, or they think it's a small issue and it's actually pretty big when you start to really think about the ramifications of the data that you're managing, whether it be your employees or your clients.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I know there is a little bit of a correlation when talking about a small IT issue, such as just like a recurring speed issue. So maybe things are just going slower and you need your load speed to go faster. And I know that that can correlate to or turn into a cybersecurity issue.
Absolutely. People always think that it's their ISP or their data provider, and it's just not, right? It could be. I mean, it happens. Inevitably, it's because of either a couple different reasons. Number one, your ISP is not great, or you don't pay for enough speed. Pretty easy, right? Second is you have outdated equipment that just doesn't have the capability anymore. Again, pretty common. But the thing that actually is most realistic is that you probably have a bunch of malware. You probably have somebody that's on your network. You probably have somebody who's already breached your network. You probably have someone who's pulling data from your network that you're unaware of. And when you go from being fluent and everything's working really, really well to all of a sudden you're coming to a standstill, or you have connectivity issues, or it just seems like it's really slowing down, that's because there's a high level of data that's running across your network that wasn't there before that it is now. And inevitably that ends up being a cybersecurity breach.
That totally makes sense. Also totally scared me.
That's what I'm here to do. It's not even Halloween. I mean, I'm trying to scare you.
No, I'm glad that we're talking about it. And kind of going into that is, you've heard all the excuses in the book, right? I mean, I could even think of them. Why do companies kind of let these problems linger for so long? Why are they giving excuses? Why are they not willing or think they're not able to kind of conquer these small IT problems, and without their knowledge, letting them get bigger?
Well, I'll put it in something that's comparable. And healthcare, right? Let's say you have a pain that's in your hip. And you have a pain in your hip, but you're like, I can still walk, I can still function. It's a pain here or there. I might have to put like a heating pad on it. I might have to ice it. But, I kind of live with it. IT and issues with IT and cybersecurity is very similar to that. Until it becomes more serious, or until they talk to an expert, which is your doctor, they don't really know what they don't know. They might have a problem with their bones and joints in their hips, right? That's causing this, right? There may be a nervous issue, a nervous condition issue in their hip or in their nerves that's causing that issue. But you never know that without going to the doctor. It's interesting how people try to self-diagnose their IT infrastructure and their network and the equipment that they use, even though that's not their core competency. I'll give you a good example. An accounting firm, you may be technically inclined, but you are not a technical expert. You're not a cybersecurity expert, just as much as I'm not an accounting expert or a financial expert. And it applies to businesses all the time. I think that sometimes whenever they don't understand the implications, they don't understand the risk, and that's really big. We talked about that a few episodes ago, what the risk could be. That until something happens, then they're like, oh my goodness, now I need to do something, and inevitably it's worse. No different than ignoring that hip for 5 years and not doing anything about it.
It kind of negates that excuse of, well, it still works. Like it's still working right now, right? Like my hip is still working. I can still walk. However, that's just not a long-term solution for a successful IT plan.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we'd all be driving 1975 Mercury Cougars. We're not. We'd be driving 1984 Yugos. We're not, right? It's working. You're not going to get a new car. People don't do that. They want new features. They want more safety features, things like that. No different when it comes to a network.
Well, no shade to you, but I wasn't born within those years, so I don't know what those cars are. But
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. This interview's over.
Let's move on to another kind of related excuse.
Okay.
We're going to talk about cost, right? So I think a lot of people, and similar to me, I mean, I know I think of this a lot just with my technology in general, but maybe it's that mentality of it's too costly to fix, or I don't have that in my IT budget right now to resolve. And I think you and I both know that that's a slippery slope to kind of hang around on. And it just kind of leads to something being even more expensive down the road.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think they know, right? In their mind, they come up with some type of dollar figure or what they think it's going to be. It starts with meeting with somebody, right? No different than getting an estimate on a car or anything else that you do in life. You need to have an independent person come in and do an assessment of your facility, whether it be a network issue or cybersecurity, and offer, here's where you're at today. Here are the things that are really important that you need to immediately remediate. And these are things we want to worry about down the road. That'll give you a true sense of the cost of this. Now, the thing that we talked about before and we'll talk about again is the implicated cost of not doing something. If you really think about it, if you think that your front door is very secure and your front door lock works occasionally, it works pretty good. It locks most times, but if you wiggle it, it can still open. That can only last for so long before someone breaks in your house and steals the stuff in your home. It's no different than data. You are as strong as your weakest link when it comes to securing your data, whether it be from your firewall, your employees, email protection, spam protection, tools that identify anomalies in the network to tell you if someone's there, tools that automatically quarantine those risks as they do come into your facility or into your network. Those are the things that really are important. And if you start to think about the type of data that most businesses have, at a bare minimum, they have all their employees' phone numbers, their addresses, their social security numbers, their date of births. Do you really just want to hand that to anybody, especially somebody in a foreign country that's going to do something malicious with it? And then you ask yourself, if you deal with the public, where you deal with credit card information or banking information, do you want all your clients' information to be at risk? What are the ramifications and the lawsuits that could potentially come from all of those? And God forbid they actually shut down your network and hold you ransom. Then what? Then you got to pay that and rebuild your network, and it ends up costing more, and the information's been exposed. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't think people think of that. And I'll give you a prime example. One of our clients, at the time was not an IT customer, but one of our clients in another division got hacked. And they were only a 12-person facility. That ended up costing them $500,000. $500,000 to pay the ransom, to rebuild the network, to do the forensic audit. Then they don't even know what's going to happen in the future with all of their clients' data being exposed. And we all know that attorneys love class action suits with information being exposed. So there you have 12 people in a small manufacturing facility that paid out $500,000. So when you start putting things like that in perspective, it's something that you may want to consider, or at the bare minimum, have an expert come in and tell you how well you are and where you need to make changes or improvements.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking? I mean, all these things, Dave, are, potential bankruptcy for business.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
these
Yes.
things, the ransoms are so high, the cleanup, and even just the customer rapport and the trust that you have with the people who trusted in you. I mean, this is just not something that businesses can bounce back from, whether you're a 12-person company or hundreds of people.
That's correct. And then you take it another step further, and we keep talking about cybersecurity, which, by the way, is one of the most important things. But let's say something that a business ignores would be productivity, right? The computers keep shutting down. People can't do their jobs. And your number one expense that most businesses have is labor. And you want to get the most productivity out of your employees that you possibly can by providing them an infrastructure and equipment that keeps them proactive and progressive and focused on what their job and their task is. And if they can't do that, what's the implications to the other part of your business? Getting back to your clients, doing your financial data, sales, management. I mean, there's so many things that have to do with that are managed in your network, right? Because you're losing it, whether you're implied losing it, meaning they're half as productive. That means you're only paying for half of what they're doing, right? But you're paying full price, or they're not being productive for your clients. So it's more than just cybersecurity. It really talks about if you have a problem in your network or you have a problem in general, like, hey, my computer doesn't work, my network is slow, we keep going offline, back online, we keep getting hacked, we keep getting people that send emails to try to get gift cards and get us to transfer income and data and all that kind of good stuff. Just bring someone in. I'm not even saying the company that I work for, right? Just any company at all, just to do an independent audit to make sure you have the baseline protection, which is going to be a strong firewall, cybersecurity tools, and email spam and filtering. If you have those three things along with cybersecurity insurance, you're pretty well down the road. But if you're not doing any of that and you're like, well, the IT company, the internet company put in a router and that's what we all connect to, that's probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave, you did touch on a couple things. If you don't have a qualified IT team, or at least somebody who is helping manage and able and has the time and the skills to help you, I'm sure there's a lot of people who just become comfortable working around IT problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're either putting up with the problem, they're finding unsafe fixes so that they can still work. I think as a team, like a culture, from a culture standpoint at a company, what things start to happen when your employees kind of give up on trusting the IT guy, or they are doing these unsafe workarounds? I mean, that could lead to a lot of repercussions if you don't have a team of IT experts kind of there to help guide and walk with your employees as they are having these problems.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, an employee wants to come in and be able to do their task. And whenever IT or their IT support people are impeding that, that's counterproductive to what the whole purpose of it is, right? The IT should be invisible. Networks should be invisible. What you really should be visible is, do I have the capability to perform my task with the equipment that I have been provided in the environment that I reside in? An IT company or an IT support person should not be impeding on that. And so you're absolutely correct. Whenever businesses look at, okay, well, we don't want to restrict our employees, we don't want to restrict what they can do. I understand what you're saying. But there are probably some minimal things that you could do, like, I don't know, prevent them from going to websites that are known to be hacker websites. They steal your data, right? That would be a good example. Maybe prevent them from clicking on links and opening things, right? That makes you vulnerable. There are some minimal things that you can do without being invasive on a business. And again, IT should not be at the forefront. It should operate in the background just to provide you what you need, no different than taking a shower. The water is just a means to actually wash your body off, but the water comes from the water company. But are you worried about how it gets there? Probably not.
Very true, very true. So if an employee or anyone at your organization does notice the same reoccurring problem happening over and over again, week after week,
Yep.
What's the first step they should take? I mean, obviously reporting it, right?
Run up and down the hallway, arms flailing and yelling. That's what I recommend. No, I'm kidding. Say something, right? No different than anything else in life. If you notice something's not right, or there's a problem, or something doesn't seem right, or there's an issue that can overall impact the business, say something. Say something to your boss, say something to the owner, say something to one of the executives. Just don't make it to where you and the other employees are having conversation about, oh, this stinks, yes, it stinks, oh, it's horrible, yes, it's horrible, because that's not going to lead to any type of change. So the first thing you want to do is just say something. Saying something is probably number one, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Not even just when you were saying, you're talking to other employees about the issues, but also we've got to talk about like DIY fixes yourself, which like sounds really scary when it comes to IT.
Yep.
Why is troubleshooting for even small IT problems I'm just going to say like a big no-no. Like why? Like let's not go there, people.
Have you ever heard the term "fix it by Google" and now it's "fix it by AI"? Right? People put in a challenge into the search bar or into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and it spits out, "Here's what you need to do," and they're like, "I'm an expert now, and I can figure out how to do that." Probably a bad idea, right? It's probably a bad idea. You may fix that problem, but you may cause other issues in other areas of the business, or you may add vulnerability to a company that you have no idea you're doing that. And quite honestly, management and ownership doesn't know you're doing that either until it's too late. So I don't recommend DIY. If it's something simple like replacing a cable from a printer to a computer, sure, okay. Let's not go make any software changes. Let's not try to fix something by slamming the laptop shut and opening it 5 times to get it to quit glitching. Probably not a good idea. Or downloading something, never a good idea. The biggest thing when you go to look for IT quick fixes online is, hey, click on this tool, it'll do an analysis of your device and your network and it'll tell you what you need to do to fix it. Know what that is? That's a way for them to steal your information. That is a way for them to gain access to your network. Whereas you think you're downloading a tool that's going to help the business, it's actually putting it at risk. And it's just horrible, how creative people that are willing to do nefarious things to gain access to your data that they'll go through to get your employees to do something and act upon something that puts you at risk.
Absolutely. And also these things are temporary fixes.
Yeah.
If you're not having them fixed by a IT expert who's qualified and knows what they're doing, you're making it really hard for any type of success to come out of these small problems you're having. And like we've said before, they're just going to turn bigger. So, kind of trying to establish the difference between a quick fix and something that's temporary and the importance of that. Because again, I mean, the cost, the time, the downtime, I mean, the list can go on and on. So
totally
you made
agree.
a very good point.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, and you did kind of touch on this. We're really simpatico today, Dave. I'm very proud of us.
All right.
I want to know, though, are there any other specific red flags, like maybe a sudden spike in phishing emails that might kind of seem like a minor inconvenience or annoyance? Is that really signaling something bigger, like maybe that there's a problem that is escalating if you're getting more spam than usual?
Yep.
Again, is this something you should bring to your IT manager,
Yes. Some people have heard of it, some people have not. It's called the dark web. It sounds all scary, but the dark web is a marketplace for selling username and passwords. And it's an international thing. People buy and sell username and passwords every single day. Millions upon millions of these things. Once someone gains access to it, that's where you're going to receive an increase in spam and an increase in attacks, because now they have access to getting into your network. Now they have a way that they can continuously try to get the weakest link, which is your employees, to make a mistake. And inevitably someone does, right? And if you don't have the tools to keep them from making the mistake to begin with, and if they do, to stop it immediately and not allow it to impact the business, that's where it makes the biggest difference. So yes, if all of a sudden you're getting a bunch of spam emails, or your network's slowing down, or something doesn't seem right, you probably want to say something either to management and or your IT professional that supports your organization, for sure.
Absolutely. And to kind of bring this to a more actionable level, what specific details should an employee present to as they're reporting this type of issue? So let's give it an example. Say they are getting multiple phishing emails more than they're used to. I know we have actually a certain feature on our email system that says, report to spam or report as phishing.
That's correct. Yeah.
However, is there a certain actionable items that someone can be sure to take and include in kind of their like IT report to their IT team?
Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, don't open any links. Number two, forward those to your IT department and say, hey, this doesn't seem right. Take screenshots would be another way. As you mentioned, there is a feature if you already have cybersecurity tools within Outlook or within Google that allows you to click on the flag and says, hey, this is spam, or hey, this doesn't seem suspicious, right? And immediately goes to your IT group. The biggest thing is that you want to document it. And that applies to not only spam email, that applies to anything going on with your computer. Look, computers just don't do things for no reason, right? They're either aging out, which is usually not the case, there's a problem with the device, or there's a problem with one of the pieces of software, which usually gives you warnings, right? It does pop-ups, error codes. You just want to take screenshots of those and keep them for your records to forward to your IT company, your IT department, in order to get it rectified or to get it resolved.
We mentioned this a little bit before. I don't think we touched on it as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to circle back to a few questions ago or a few conversations ago when we were kind of talking about a solid and strategic IT team, like somebody that you can count on, whether it's internal, whether it's a managed IT team or whether it's co-managed. But I want you to reiterate on this is that how does integrating a virtual CIO, which we call a VCIO, kind of change the dynamic from kind of like this mentality of putting out these daily smaller IT fires to more of a balanced strategic IT growth?
Well, that's a loaded question. So the purpose of having a VCIO, and people are like, what in the world is that? It's a virtual CIO, and that's a chief information officer. And major corporations have a chief information officer, right? Or their chief, they call them a CSO as well, a chief security officer. And that person's sole responsibility is for the direction, the implementation, making decisions on infrastructure, making decisions on software, on cybersecurity, and all that. What a virtual CIO does by companies like us, an MSP, we provide those to a customer where they have a small group of clients that they become that person for them. And they are their confidant, right? They are the person that they would call and say, hey, we're having this issue. I don't mean like a service call, like, hey, we're having this problem overall with our organization we'd like to talk about. They're also the ones that are going to establish your business continuity plans, your disaster recovery plans. They're going to bring best practices to you based upon other vertical markets similar to yours in utilizing either IT or technology or software that other companies similar to you use to be more productive or to mitigate a problem. And third and foremost, they allow you to set a software and a technology roadmap, right? They're the person you're going to meet with on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and have that dialogue to, and quite honestly, sometimes participate in your management meetings because they are an extension of your company. You don't pay them. They're provided by a good MSP, but they can bring so much value to your company by having that. And quite honestly, a lot of IT companies don't have that feature.
Wow, I like the idea of them sitting in on some of your management team meetings because IT really is, almost fully the backbone of your business. IT goes down, cybersecurity hacks come, your business is done for. Do you feel like, Dave, having a well-qualified VCIO who does have the time, who does have the experience and the knowledge to work with your employees, do you think that really does help kind of take these smaller IT problems and stop them from getting and turning into bigger things?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It definitely does.
Yeah.
They're invaluable if utilized in the right way. And there are even large companies that hire a virtual CIO, right? They have a full-fledged IT group, but they still need that virtual CIO or that CIO type person to really help them with their business. It's invaluable, right? And if you really think about it, that person's going to be anywhere between $120,000 to $300,000 a year, right? And you're being able to pick it up through a contract, through a managed services contract with an IT company. It's definitely invaluable.
We're getting close to wrapping up,
Okay.
but I do want to ask you before I let you go,
Yeah.
what is one of the biggest or two takeaways that you want our listeners, decision makers, employees to kind of, really grab onto and take away from this episode? I know you talk a lot about speak up, speak up, speak up, stop dealing with the same problem every day or every week because it's not going to get fixed. But I think we talk a lot about ignoring the problem. I mean, would you say that probably is just one of the biggest takeaways is to really hone in on what are you avoiding every day with IT?
Yeah. My two things would be stop avoiding, right? Stop ignoring. Ignoring and avoiding doesn't make it go away. You have to actually work your way through it. And that applies to everything in life, right? If you ignore something versus actually deal with it, you're never really going to get over it. You're never going to really come up with a resolution. IT is no different. And the biggest difference between the two is a personal decision like that usually impacts yourself and maybe your family. But a business decision in regards to IT and ignoring things that could potentially be a risk for your company is endangering the information and the data of all your employees and your clients. It's way different, right? It can be far reaching. So definitely don't ignore it. The second is, if you think you have a problem or you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. It's kind of like, that's why we go for an annual physical every year, right? Maybe bring in an expert to do an independent audit of your infrastructure, your data, your security settings, all those different types of things, and really say, okay, here's where I'm at today, and then maybe establish a plan. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to partner with the company that does that, but you need to be aware of where you are today in order to make informed decisions in regards to IT infrastructure in your business.
It seems pretty simple to me. It's like, if you think you're getting sick, go to the doctor.
I think so
We
too.
have time, I think, for one or two curveball questions. They're not super crazy today, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
I want to know this though. If you had to put a dollar amount on the productivity lost because of a slow internet connection, maybe over like a 20-person team, what would that cost be? Maybe even over a month or maybe 6 months?
Let's do 20 employees, and let's say on average they make $5,000 a month. That's $100,000 a month, right? And if they're only half productive, that means you're losing $50,000 a month in productivity. That doesn't even tie into the financial losses that you may have by not being able to follow up with customers from a customer service standpoint, by not being able to deliver a sales proposal, by not being able, I'll give you a good example. People think like a furniture store is an easy one. What is the easiest way to lose somebody to a furniture store? Taking their time and making them stand there forever waiting for information. So imagine if you're a furniture store, which you think that's not that big a deal. But at the end of the day, a customer wants to know, do you have it available? Is there a warranty? Is it in the warehouse? When can I get it? And you're delayed by that, and it takes us twice as long to provide that information, they're going to walk right out of your store and walk right into another one. It's no different than anything else in life.
That was a really good analogy. I like your analogies today. Okay, one more. Is there a scenario where an employee should fix a small IT problem on their own? And we're not talking about, like you said, like if a cable fell out or something like that. But can you think of anything that would warrant that?
I so bad want to say no, but if they keep having a problem with their computer, try rebooting it. I'll be okay with that. Reboot it. Because sometimes there's a software update or a firmware update that just hasn't taken effect yet, or it just needs to be, restarted. Outside of that, I just wouldn't recommend them making any changes to their software, their hardware on their own, unless it's something simple like a peripheral, which would be like a cable, something plugged into it, a monitor, things like that, a keyboard. Yeah, handle that all you want. But when it comes to the actual systems itself, no.
Well, Dave, we've really loved having you on. You've become one of our staples.
Thank you.
For everyone listening or watching, you can always find all of our podcasts on our YouTube channel, the IT Help channel. We also have a learning center on our website at ais-now.com/learning center, where we have tons of blog articles and videos that talk about all of our other services as well, but of course, a lot of IT related content for you. You can also find Dave Clark all over our website and also on LinkedIn. He posts some really great things. He's always in the know about what's going on. He's a great IT leader to follow in this space. And we really thank you guys for watching. I'm your host, Marissa Poston, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us on the Tech Made Human podcast.